Hey everyone, my name is Jay and I'm the lead designer at REACHRIGHT Studios, and today we're going to be talking about how to edit your website using Cornerstone Pro by Themeco. We're going to be talking about a couple different things. We're going to give a basic layout and overview of Cornerstone Pro. We're also going to be talking about some of the basic edits, such as making edits to text and photos, adding buttons, things like that. We're also going to look at different layouts and how to make adjustments to layouts on your page. And then we're going to talk about templates and section templates and how to save your branding for future use and different elements. So here we have our one of our tailored websites, and we're going to dig into this. And you'll notice that right now this is at a production URL. This is we host our websites on WP Engine. You might already have this pointed to your domain and already have Cornerstone Pro installed. And so when we go here, we're going to log in. We're going to go to our domain or our production URL and go /WP-admin. And I'm going to hit enter. And this is where it asks for your username and password. Now, this is either something that you've already set up or this is something that was provided to you. But go ahead and enter those details and then you will be logged in. Okay, now once you're logged in, you're going to see something like this. This is the WordPress dashboard. Now, this is not Cornerstone in itself. Right now, we are logged into WordPress. And we're not going to dig into too much on the WordPress side of things. We're going to really focus on the Cornerstone side of things. But what we're going to do is we're going to go to the website name and we're going to go to visit site. Okay, and once we're here, you'll notice that we see our website, but you'll also see at the very top is a little toolbar. And this is how we're going to access Cornerstone as we make changes to our site. The easiest way to edit a page is to navigate to the page that you would like to make edits to, and then go to Cornerstone Edit Page. Okay, now a common mistake is people will click Edit Page here, which is actually not using Cornerstone. That would be using WordPress. So we don't want to use this edit page. We want to make sure that we're going to Cornerstone Edit Page. And then once we're here, now we are in Cornerstone and we're inside the builder. And you'll notice that we can see the website on one side here, but then we can also see there's this outline view where our page is broken up into the different sections in which it's been created. And if we scroll these down, each section is broken up into rows and columns. A row is, the horizontal direction, and then the columns are the individual sections of that row. This is a very simple section. We have a section with a single row, a single column, and then a single headline. And it says about us. Now, if we scroll down here, you'll notice that once we get to this Our Vision, there's a little bit of a break here, and you'll see it's a little bit more complicated. So let's go to section 2, and you'll notice that I can either hover over this, and we'll see it says section 2, or I can, if I scroll over the rows, you'll see it highlights the row that I'm hovering over, okay? And this is the one that we want to look at. So we'll notice that section 2 has multiple rows. There's this row with a single column and a couple of different elements, the headline, the line, and the text element. Then there's this one with just a headline and a line, okay? And then there is this one, which is a bit different because this row actually has 3 columns. And so you'll notice that there is a column 1, a column 2, and a column 3. And inside each one of those are multiple elements that we can either edit, remove, or modify, depending on what we want to accomplish. And so if we want to edit a specific element, we can either navigate here, and let's say we want to make an adjustment to this heart. We can go to this and we can click the inspector icon and we can begin to make changes depending if we wanted to change the icon, if we want to change the color to something a little bit different. But another way that we can target our elements for edits is to just on this side, click on the element, and you'll notice that it actually jumps straight into that element where we can begin to make our edits. That is how we kind of navigate the interface through those various sections, those various rows and columns, or we can just click on that edit feature when we click on the icon. Okay, so we're back on our homepage here, and I'm going to show you how to make common edits to different content. Let's start with something very simple. Let's say that, this is kind of the tagline specific to this church, and we're going to talk about how to, maybe we've made an update to our tagline or our mission, and we want to change this text. What we're going to do is we're going to click this, and you'll notice that the headline element pops up, and you'll see there's this content. And this is where we can edit the text, and we can make the change here, either from HTML editor or a rich text editor, and we can make it say something like, love God, love people, okay? And you'll notice that those changes begin to take place immediately right in this main window here. You can also double click, and you can just begin to make your changes here, where we can have a new mission statement. Okay, there's different ways that we can do it. Typically, I like to navigate, because sometimes there's a little bit of server lag, and that can cause some issues sometimes. I like to make the changes here, but you can also double click and make the change. Let's say we wanted to add another line, or we wanted to have this break up a little bit. There's different ways that we can do that, but you can duplicate an element by hitting this little duplicate button right here. And now you'll see there's two of those, and I'm going to go ahead and make this a subheadline, right? And let's say I want to make this headline a bit smaller. I'm going to go ahead and reduce the size. We can reduce it here. I would recommend actually reducing it at the specific heading section, and so I'm going to go down in size here to, let's say, 2.55 EM. All right, and now you'll notice that we have the headline duplicated, but we have a smaller one here. But let's say I want to use one of my other fonts, okay? I'm actually going to make this our body font, and you can also select other system fonts, but I'm going to go ahead and click body, and you'll notice that it changes to our body copy. The reason we like to stick with these is because these are fonts that help us stay consistent throughout the site. You don't want a website with 100 different fonts, right? So we generate those, a good pairing on the front end, and then we use those consistently throughout the website. But for the subheadline, I don't want the same font. I'm going to use this body copy font, which is the same font as the body text here. And I'm going to maybe let's make it all caps. And I'm going to add a little bit of spacing, let's say 0.2 EM, and you'll notice that adds a little bit of spacing. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, and I'm going to do 1.65, and you'll see, bam. Now we have our new mission statement with a subheading, okay? And so that's how we make those changes to there. If we're wanting to make changes to our body text, again, we can just scroll down to the text we want to change, double click, and we can delete a section or a portion, highlight and delete, and I can now type something new. Okay, and then we make those changes in that way. And then I'm gonna put here, I'm gonna make this a little bit more personal. Welcome to Tozer Church. All right, good. And I like those content updates so far. Now, none of these changes are actually made until you click save here. Now, I love that things aren't happening in real time, because sometimes you'll make a mistake. Maybe you don't even know what you did. Sometimes as a panic or as a, I don't want to mess anything up and something weird just happened, you don't have to click save. You can just close the tab here, and it says you have unsaved changes that will be lost. Would you like to proceed? Yes, proceed, and those changes will not be saved, okay? Now you'll notice here that I'm still in Cornerstone, but there's no page open. Let's say I wanted to go back to the home page. I'm just gonna click here, and you'll see that my original page, I didn't save the changes. It is here, and now I'm back at the home page. That's just another way to navigate to the page that you want to make the edit to. Now, real quick, I'm going to show you how to make changes to buttons. Buttons are those things that are throughout your page that can be modified, linked to different parts of your website, or external to your website as well, or to a PDF or a resource. So when I single click the button, you'll notice on this new here button right now over on this side, right now it currently links to the plan your visit page. Now we could have this be the full URL, or if it's within your website, rather than having the first part of your domain, tozertheme.wpengine.com /plan your visit. The reason this is good is because if our domain changes, but our page names do not, these links are still active. And so this right now links to the plan your visit page, but let's say I want it to go to the connect page. You'll notice that if I hover over this connect, it's /connect. You'll see that on the lower left-hand side. And so I want this to, instead of going to the plan your visit page, I want this to go to our connect page. And so I'm going to go /connect. Okay. And then I probably don't, maybe I want to say new here, but maybe I wanted to say something a little bit different. And so I've changed the link to the button. And again, this can be a full HTTPS : / link, or this can, if we're just going internal, I would just recommend that permalink or the back part of that link. If we want to open in a new tab, we can do that as well. Just check the box. But I am going to change the text. So I'm going to scroll down to this text section here. And rather than it saying new here, I'm going to have it say connect with us. Okay? And bam. So now, not only does it say connect with us, you'll notice when I hover over it, it shows the link in the bottom left. It says /connect. Okay, so that's how to edit buttons. If we want to add additional buttons to our page, I'm going to go to this outline view here by clicking there. And let's say I want two buttons in this section. I'm going to duplicate this button here, and you'll see that it adds another button. And I'm going to actually have this one stay and go to the plan your visit page. And I'm going to have it say plan your visit. All right, boom. So now we have two buttons in this section, a connect button and a plan your visit button here. All right. The final thing that we're gonna show is how to swap an image or how to make an edit to an image. So you'll notice here that under these this connect with us section, we have multiple photos, and I want to change this ministry's photo. I'm gonna single click this image, and you'll see here is the image element. Now, if we go to the outline, you'll see kind of how this section is broken down, and there's some advanced features here. Not only is it broken down by section, row, and column, in each column is an image and a div section or a div element where there is also another headline and text. And so there's this little box with a headline and text with an image above it. Okay, and so if I click single click that image, you'll see here there's a source, and that's where that picture is displayed. Now I'm going to remove this by clicking and then hitting the add button, and I'm gonna use a different photo, and I'm gonna use one of the photos that I already have. You'll notice here we have a media library. Those are already photos and images. Videos, those are things that have already been uploaded to our website. If I wanted to upload a different one, I could click here, and you can either browse to the file by selecting the file, or you can drag and drop the image into here and it will upload the video, the photo. When uploading photos, this is very important. You should always make sure that number one, the photo is optimized. Generally, we try to keep our photos under 100 kilobytes, okay? So that means photos should not just be downloaded and uploaded, because that'll lead to slow website speeds, because the more data that needs to be downloaded on a page, the slower your website will go. So before adding photos, you should always optimize using a photo editor like Adobe Photoshop, or free ones like online like Canva, and compress your images before uploading here. But we already have some photos, and so I'm going to go to the media library, and you'll notice that when I click these, I'll see details here like 600 by 400 pixels. And the size of this photo, which is 125 kilobytes, right around that 100 kilobyte range, okay, give or take. That's about where we want them. But you'll notice this is a 600 by 400 photo. That's good because the other photos in that section are also 600 by 400. So when I click that, it's pretty seamless. Everything fits really well. Everything's the same size. I've got the new photo here. But I want you to notice if I don't put something, because these are all 600 by 400 photos. If I don't use the right size photo, so here is a photo that's 1920 by 1080. Watch what happens. Number one, first of all, this is a bigger photo because it's a bigger size. And you want to find the balance between compression and quality. Okay, so this is a larger photo, a little bit larger size, but I'm going to put this in that same place and watch what happens. You'll see that it doesn't line up. Now, this is very important because you should make sure that you are being consistent within a certain section, usually, but even really throughout the website. You want consistency because it's much easier to maintain spacing and design when elements are the same size rather than all these random resolutions. So we always recommend resizing and optimizing photos before adding them to the website. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and switch this back to a 600 by 400 photo. We're just going to use this one here, and there we go. Okay, I like that. I like how that's looking. So we have just talked about how to make text edits, how to edit headlines, how to change a button, and then how to swap a photo. Now, but let's say we want to delete an element, okay? If we wanted to delete something, let's say something, maybe one of these wasn't current, maybe we don't have a live stream anymore, and we wanted to remove this part of this section. I'm gonna go to this outline view, and again, you're gonna notice that when I'm here and I hover over different parts, I begins to highlight the different parts. This is the column that I want to remove, okay? And so I'm going to go ahead and hover over this and I want to delete it. So I'm gonna hit the trash can icon, and now you'll notice that that section is no more. Now it looks a little bit funky, and we're gonna get into this in just a moment because the rest of the content isn't centered to the page, and that's not really what I'm going for. We're gonna talk about that in our advanced edits in just a moment here. But I did wanna show you how to delete certain elements, or maybe a better case would be here if we don't want the two buttons, for instance. I'm gonna click this plan your visit button. We're gonna get rid of it. And when I click it, you'll see that I can start making edits, but you'll also see here I can duplicate again or trash it. I'm gonna trash from here, and when I do, that button deletes and it's gone. Or I want a different button, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna click this one, and I'm gonna duplicate it, and I have another button again, okay? So there's a lot of creative ways that we can add different elements. Now I'm going to show you how to add elements that are not on this page, and we're not going to go into all of them because Cornerstone Pro has a ton of elements in ways that you can customize your website. But let's say I want to add maybe another element here to this portion. If we go to this column, I want to add something to here. So I'm going to hover over the column and I'm going to add an element by clicking the plus sign. When I click the plus sign, you'll see that there's some layout elements that I can add. There's some templates, which we're gonna get into in just a moment, of buttons, different colored buttons that have already been created and saved that can be used throughout the website. And then there's these standard elements. These are elements that are built into Cornerstone Pro that you can add to your website. And again, there's a lot of options. There's an accordion element, which we do use, for instance, on our about page and beliefs. There's a button, again, if we wanted to maybe start from scratch and just start with the default button, we could do that. There's cards, counters, there's headlines. All right, so let's just say I wanted to add, I want to start from scratch and I'm going to add another button. This is the default button. And you'll notice it's different than the one we have because this one's been styled and edited and created specific for this theme and for this website. But I wanted a little bit different look, and so I'm gonna click on here and I'm gonna maybe change the background color to a red. And right now the URL is just, it's empty. And so I'm gonna go down here and I'm gonna maybe adjust the spacing around the text. And so we go here and I'm going to add a little bit of margin to the top and bottom to make the button a little taller. And I'm gonna go wide. All right, this is just for, so you can see what's happening here. All right, I'm gonna add a lot of spacing to the right and to the left. Okay, I'm gonna keep scrolling. I like the learn more text. You'll notice it inherits the default font, but I want the body copy, and I'm going to do bold, weight, and I'm gonna change the color to white, and the interaction to a white but half transparency. So when I hover on interaction, it lightens that text, okay? And yeah, I like that. And so that's kind of just some of the quick element edits that we can make, but that's how we would add an element that's not already on the page to the page. One more thing is we're talking about editing content. If we want to move things around, so let's go back down to this section, and I want to change the order maybe of some of these elements. I wouldn't recommend dragging and dropping this way, because you'll notice right now it's only going to grab the picture. Okay. By the way, another way to undo is there's these fancy undo buttons here. You can click that. That's always something good to keep in mind. There's these fancy buttons. The way I would reorder this is right here in this section editor. We can actually scroll and drag and drop and reorder pieces by dragging here, because we're dragging the whole column. Okay. I can also actually redo the order of the sections. Let's say I wanted to swap, I wouldn't recommend this, but let's say we wanted to swap get in touch with connect with us. I can drag and drop section 3 below section 4, and now section 3 becomes section 4, but you'll see here that get in touch section is now below the connect with us section as well. And so that's how we can move different pieces throughout, or if we wanted to swap these buttons, again, let me just rename this quick to plan your visit. And I'm going to drag that up here, right? We can change the order that way as well. And so it's very simple. I like to move things in the outline view more so than in here, because sometimes things will be a little bit unexpected, right? You can do it and it works okay in this case, but like when it comes to complex elements, dragging and dropping, not really great, unexpected. So I would recommend moving from the outline view. We're gonna edit our connect page, and I'm gonna go here and you'll see that we have a single row, single column, a row with 2 columns here, and kind of throughout the rest of the page. And so we're gonna go to Cornerstone Edit Page. I wanna make some edits here, and I'm going to actually add a row to this kids section. Let's say we wanted to add another row to this section, make this section a little bit longer, add a little bit more content, maybe age groups. Let's go ahead and do that. We're gonna add some age groups to this section. And so I'm going to hit the plus sign on this section. We're in section 2, and it's going to add a new row. And you'll notice this is where we can choose how many columns we want in this row, okay? And I am going to not go for the single, I'm not gonna go for the double. I have 3 different age groups that I want to add, so I'm gonna click this 3 column, and you'll see that now I have 3 columns in this row. And I want to begin to add pieces to this to kind of distinguish what are those different age groups. Now, an easy way to do this would be to use the headline here for each one of these columns. Now, we can do that by hovering over the headline in the outline view, duplicating it, and then dragging it to this column, and you'll see that now column 1 in this new row has a headline called kids, okay? That's one way to do it, and that totally works, okay? But what we can actually do, and what I would probably recommend doing, is actually saving this headline. Let's say I love this headline and I want to use this throughout the rest of my website. I actually can save this as an element template and then load it as needed throughout the website. So I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to click the inspector icon on this headline. And then you'll notice that we can go into this settings portion. There's the duplicate, the trash can, but then there's this settings button. I'm going to click the settings. And this is a manage element portion. And this looks a little bit different. Cornerstone was recently updated, but you'll notice I can actually save this headline as a template, okay? And so I'm gonna click Save Template, and it'll give me a preview. I don't think you can see it because it's black text on a black box, but I'm gonna call this headline, and I'm gonna call this ministry headline. Okay, so that I can go back and find out, oh, I want the headline that I used on the ministries page, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and hit save. And that is now saved. All right, excellent. Now I want to add that same headline with the template that I just created, and I want to add it to this column. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to single click on this column. You can also go here and click the plus icon. I'm going to do it that way. And then you'll notice that when I scroll down, there's these templates, and you'll see there's this headline, ministry headline template I created. Now I can go ahead and click that, and that template pops up. And then I can just double click and make the edits here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right here. The first age group is newborns. All right, so I'm going to type newborns, and that's fantastic. And I'm going to adjust this a little bit. I'm going to center the text here. Excellent. And I'm going to add a subheadline though to this one by clicking at the top, enabling the subheadline, and going back down to where the subheadline is. And I'm going to edit that here by saying the ages 0 to 2 years old. And I'm going to select the font that I want, and I'm going to center it. Excellent. So now I have that. The headline's a little big. I'm going to reduce the size of that. I don't want it as big as the main headline, so I'm going to reduce the size there. We'll just take a guess here. All right, there we go. Excellent. Now I'm going to add a couple more pieces, so I'm going to go back here. I want also an image of a newborn, so I'm going to add an element to this column, and I can scroll, but if I know what the element that I want, I'm just going to type image, click that, and you'll see an image pops up. I'm going to define the source. I'm going to click the inspector icon. I'm going to add an image, and yeah, here's one. This one works, or this one. Either one's good. I'm going to go ahead and use this one, and it's a 600 by 400 image. So we're going to want to use that on all the columns. I'm going to insert that into the post. Bam. Now I have a photo. And then I want a button. I don't know what I'm going to link that to just yet, but I'm going to add a button. Why not? So let's go ahead and add a button. And I already have some presets that have been made, and we can save those buttons as presets the way we did the headline. But I already have some, so I'm going to use one of the ones that I've already made, and I'm going to use the button color, which I believe is going to be the blue one. And that was made here. I'm going to single click it. I'm going to change the link to, it can be anything. Let's just say, let's have it go to our Get Connected page. Our Get Connected page is where people can fill out a form. They can get in touch with us if they have other questions. And in fact, I'm going to rename this button to Get Connected, okay? Or Contact Us. I don't know. There we go. So now this is called Contact Us. It's going to the Get Connected page where they can fill out a form if they want more information, which is fantastic. And then I'm going to add a little bit of text as a blurb here. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to body text. That's another preset or template that's for text that's already been created. Let's go ahead and use that. Okay. And there we go. And I'm just going to make this say something quick. I'm just going to use some lorem ipsum real quick. There we go. So now we have some placeholder text. Now I don't like the order here. I want the text above the button, so I'm going to reorder this quick. And I'm going to go up here. And everything else, yeah, that's the order I want, but everything is to the left. And I don't really want this. And this is where we're going to talk about some of the more advanced features. First one being the Flexbox. The Flexbox is an awesome feature that's built into Cornerstone Pro, where you can actually align things using a Flexbox either to the start, the middle, or the end, both horizontally and vertically. Powerful feature where you can really start manipulating different sections of your website for different flows. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to actually add a Flexbox to this column because I want everything in this column to be centered. Okay, not just the text, because if I click this and I center this text, for instance, that'll center the text, but still the elements are all shoved to the left, except for these ones. And the reason these are centered is because the headline is the full width of it, so it's centered still, okay? Kind of confusing, but I think you're gonna see what I mean. I'm actually not gonna center this text just so you can see more what I'm talking about. I'm gonna uncenter that and leave it left align. And I'm gonna actually add a max width on this so you can even see it more. I probably wouldn't do this in normal design, but let's just give this a max width of 150. A little bit more. Let's do 200. Okay, so now you can really see all the text, right? Everything's to the left, but I want everything centered. So I'm going to go to the column and I'm going to go down here, and under design is an option called the flex box. If I click the flex box, all of a sudden you'll notice that I can align things either centered this way vertically, or I can align things this way horizontally. I want things aligned vertically. So I'm going to select the up and down arrow, and I'm going to go for a horizontal center alignment, and everything in this column is now centered. Okay, super powerful, very cool, very awesome. Okay, I'm going to remove the max width on this because I want you to see, or the width on this, because I want you to see this too. Let's say I like it, everything is centered, things are looking really good now, but I want to add a little bit of spacing between these columns. I'm going to go to the row, which is right above it, and these 3 columns are in the row. Click the inspector, and I'm going to add a little bit more space in between those columns. I'm going to double this to 40 pixels. Now there's more spacing here. That's great. That's what I want. But I also want to maybe keep the text from so close from the edges, and maybe even the image. I'm going to add a little bit of padding to the inside of this, and that increases the spacing on the inside of this column. So you'll notice that I can either do just the top or the bottom, but I'm going to do all around, and I'm going to keep it consistent, and I'm going to make it 20 pixels everywhere. And you'll notice now that when I'm hover over the column, all the way around, it compresses things because there's now a 20 pixel spacing or padding that keeps things a little bit more separated, okay? Now, finally, I want a little bit more space between the headline and this image, okay? And it looks like this text it was a preset, it was a template, and there was already padding built into the top and the bottom, which I'm guessing if we scroll, there's a 1 EM top and bottom padding to keep things separated. But I want a little bit of that. We created this from our other preset, but I want a little bit of spacing on the bottom here to add a gap between the headline and the picture. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to add, we're not going to go too much into this. I'm actually going to add some margin, or, well, we'll just do the padding. The difference between margin is spacing outside of the element, and then padding is spacing inside the element. In this case, it doesn't matter too much. So I'm just going to add a 1 EM spacing to the bottom, and you'll notice now that when I hover over the headline, there is now a little bit of a gap underneath the headline element, okay? Now I do want this centered, and so I'm gonna go back and center this, and voila. I have this awesome little subsection, and now I have my first age group, but I want this 3 times. Well, rather than creating this, each one individually, I can actually duplicate this whole column and have it 3 times. Okay, so let's say I want this column multiple times. I'm going to hover over this, and I'm going to click duplicate, and then I'm going to begin making edits to these because I want the same look multiple times to break up this page. You'll see those empty columns now go to the next line. I don't even want those. I just wanted the 3, so I'm going to go ahead and remove these. And now we have a row with 3 columns, but the same content repeated 3 times. And then I can just now go in and I can edit this text. And so now we have, let's say, preschool age group. And I'm going to change the sub headline to, let me go back here. Ages 3 to 5, 4 years old. I'm going to swap this photo. And I could make edits to the text, and I'm going to leave this to still go to that same page, the Get Connected page, for more information. And then I'm going to change this one to elementary. And then I'm going to go down to subheadline, and I'm going to make this ages 5 to 11 years old. And I'm going to change the photo. We need a picture of some older kids. Let's see. We'll just use this one. Okay. And voila. We now have an additional row with more content in this kids section. And now our page is longer. We have a little bit more content. It's a little bit more specific. Maybe I want a little bit more space between this row and this row, so I can add some padding to either row to make that a little bit more. So if I click the row, I'm in the row for this new three columns, and then I'm going to add a little bit of padding to the top. Let's add 40 pixels maybe, and now we have a little bit more space there to let that button breathe. Okay, but boom, now I have awesome 3 extra columns, a little bit more content to my page, and I love it. So I would go ahead and save it. Okay, so I just made these new columns, but I really should make sure that this looks good on every different size screen. Okay, so this looks great on my desktop, but what does it look like on a mobile device? Okay, and that's one of the super powerful things about Cornerstone is you can edit and tweak the layouts for every single size screen. Okay, and you'll notice down here there's these different viewport sizes or screen sizes, and this is a full desktop size. If I click the next one down, this is like a typical laptop size screen. Okay, and you'll notice that we still have, it's similar, things are a little bit more compressed, the image is a little bit smaller here. I'm okay with it. And then if we go down to the tablet size, where we notice, oh wow, it's kind of narrow now, okay? And so we can begin to make some adjustments here to our layouts using Cornerstone. And notice the text here is really long because it's so narrow. And maybe, and if we keep going down in size, you'll notice, okay, now it's really narrow, and I don't know if I like that. And okay, now all of a sudden it's broken down into a single column. So let me walk you through how to kind of adjust the layouts on these different sizes. So you'll notice here, I love it. I would recommend that when you're designing a website, design it at this top level, make sure it looks good there, and then work your way down, okay? And you kind of need to do that for every section, every row, every column, okay? And so if I go down here, I'm still good with this. I think this looks awesome. Let's go down to the tablet. And I notice, okay, now things are starting to get a little bit tricky, okay? I don't really like how there's this small picture and then all this content. So I'm gonna make an adjustment here. And you'll notice that this is the row that we're targeting as I hover over it. And if I hit the inspector icon for the row, you'll see that there's this template for the different columns layouts. Now this was a 2-column row, okay? But I can actually manipulate this based on the viewport size to be 1 column or 3 columns or whatever, okay? And typically as you work your way down, you reduce the amount of columns in a row so that it looks good. So if I'm in this tablet mode and I go to the template here, I can actually tweak the size of, or how many columns are in each row. I can tweak that depending on the size screen. So we're in the tablet size, and I don't want 2 rows in this. I want it for the desktop, I want it for the laptop size, but once we're on a tablet, I want this to just be 2 single rows, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and click here, and I'm gonna select single row, and boom. You'll notice that now on this view, the picture, rather than being side by side columns, now the columns it's a single row columns, and now it's just a single element and then a single column here. And you'll see here that in this view it's a single column as well. Excuse me. I'm getting a little tongue tied with all the rows and columns. Okay. So if I go back up, it's still 2. If I go up here, it's still 2, but now when I go to the tablet size, it's gone to a single column. Okay. And then let's go down a notch, and notice that it's now keeping that setting that I used on the step above, where it's now a single column row, and it's much better. It's not so condensed, right? And if I go here, single row column, that's what it looks like on a mobile device. And that's just how I want it. So again, if we go here, you'll notice that it's 50-50 on the 2 bigger screen sizes, but once it gets to a tablet, it goes to 100%, where it's a single column, and it looks much better. So if we go here into this new things that we just built, you'll notice that it looks really good on a mobile device as is, but I don't really like on a landscape mobile. I don't really want this side by side here. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to this row now. And actually, let me make sure like I said, we should work our way top to bottom. So let's go here. Are we good with this? Are we good with this? Let's just say we are. Okay. But for sure, when I get here on this landscape, that's just way too much. That's way too much. Things are starting to get really smushed. I want to lengthen it out. Okay. So I'm going to go down to this row. Okay. And I'm going to click the inspector icon, and you'll see that it's still 2 rows for this screen size. So I'm going to go here, and I'm good with, thirds, even including the tablet view. But once it gets to this landscape, I want it to just go to single. I click this single for the landscape view, and notice now it's 100% for the landscape and the mobile view. And that is looking so much better. Okay. And now we are good on all of our sizes. And so that's how we edit in Cornerstone for our website for various different screen sizes. Okay, so we have just finished making some edits to this page. We added a row with multiple columns and sections. And let's say we love it and we want to use this on a different part of the page that we have here. Let's say we also want a group section, maybe down at the bottom. But I want to use this kids one. Okay, we can actually, there's multiple ways that we can do this. We can actually literally highlight this section and click duplicate. And you'll see there it duplicates that whole section, and we can drag that to the bottom. And now we have this, and then we can begin making our edits to make this for groups. Okay. But let's say we did want this, maybe we don't want it on the same page. Maybe we want the section we built for kids. Maybe we want this on a different page. We can actually save not just elements as templates, but we can actually save sections as templates. And let me show you how to do that, so then you can know how to save a layout and then reuse it on a different part of your website. So let's say I want to save section 2. I really like the way this came together. I want to save this for future use. I'm going to go ahead and click the inspector icon, or I'm sorry, go back here. And at the bottom, when we're in the outline view, there's this make section template. I'm going to select that. And I only want to select section 2. I don't want to save all the sections on the page. I just want to save this section and use it in different parts potentially on the website. I'm going to save section 2, and I'm going to click save template. And I'm going to call this section kids. All right. And you'll see a little preview here, again, with a black background, so it doesn't look quite the same, but section kids, and I'm going to click save. Okay. And so now that section is now saved as a template that can be used anywhere on the site. Well, let me just show you how to import it. Let's say I do want it at the bottom of this page. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click this icon up here, which is templates icon. And you'll see that there's these sections that have been saved as templates, and I want to add this one that I just saved, section kids, to this page. When I click that, I click add, and now that page that I just saved as a section template is now located on the bottom of the page. And then I can just begin editing this section to fit what I need. Okay, so I'm going to go here, and I'm going to make this placeholder text. And I'm going to change this to no link right for now, but let's just say find a group. I'm going to change the photo to a group image, and then group number 1. And so this just goes to show you the power of templates, of duplication, really everything that's built into Cornerstone Pro, and how to make it efficient, consistent to your branding and to the look that you're going for. And so that is the power of templates. That is an awesome feature, obviously, when building a website to really help you speed up the process. So those are just some of the basic and a little bit more advanced features on how to edit a website using Cornerstone Pro. Cornerstone makes it very easy and efficient to be creative, but not get bogged down in the technical side of things when building and editing a website. And so we talked about just some of the basics, right? Editing headlines, editing text, swapping photos, manipulating layouts with rows and columns and flex boxes, okay? And so we're gonna have a lot more to cover, but those are just some of the basics. But we're gonna talk more about some of the other things, like how to embed other plugins and how to increase the usability of the website with other features and other services. And so stay tuned. Thanks for joining us. This is Jay from REACHRIGHT. Peace out.